Welcome into another edition of Just the Truth. Glad to have you join me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose the weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Special Counsel Robert Hur has concluded his investigation into President Biden's handling of the classified records, the ones that he left in the garage by his favorite Corvette. Attorney General Merrick Garland informed lawmakers in a letter to members of Congress yesterday. More details coming up. It appears to be official now. According to numerous media reports, former President Donald Trump has recommended North Carolina GOP Chair Michael Whatley to replace RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel immediately following the South Carolina primary. We have new details on this story as well. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey called on the Biden administration to restrict foreign land ownership near a U.S. Air Force base in his state. And according to a report in Business Insider, 1st Congressional District Representative Nancy Mace's office is in chaos, claiming that there's been a 100% staff turnover in just 3 months.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Hope you'll join today's conversation. You can send your comments to the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your voice message are welcome, and your emails, of course, always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. So let's start with Special Counsel Robert Hur. He has concluded his investigation, according to reports out of Washington, D.C. This into the handling of Joe Biden's classified documents that he had both in his office after leaving the vice presidency, and some even found in his garage near his Corvette. Merrick Garland informed lawmakers in a letter yesterday. The letter from Garland says nothing about the conclusion that Hur reached, but arrives amid reporting that the special counsel is expected to announce the findings of his investigation, maybe even this week. Garland appointed Hur last January as a special counsel after documents from Joe Biden's time as vice president ended up at an old office space that he had rented and at his Wilmington, Delaware home. Garland said the White House is currently looking over the report as part of a, quote, privilege review, meaning just a courtesy. Let them look at it first. Garland wrote in his letter to lawmakers, which was obtained and reported on by The Hill, I'm committed to making as much of the special counsel's report public as possible. That means there's going to be a lot of redactions. That means there's going to be a big red pen marking through a lot of stuff that we'll never see. White House spokesperson Ian Sam said they anticipate the privilege review will be complete by the end of the week. Then they can turn it over to the public, I guess. Biden, of course, has maintained that he did nothing wrong. His team has repeatedly noted that his lawyers quickly notified the National Archives and cooperated with the Department of Justice after they discovered that the documents in his office at a University of Pennsylvania center in Washington, D.C. were classified. Still, Hur's investigation is lingered for just over a year now, a contrast to his dual supervision of an investigation into former Vice President Mike Pence's handling of classified records as well. As news broke out that Joe Biden had classified records, of course, the investigation into former President Trump, other people who had access to classified documents sort of did a house cleaning, kind of cleaned out the closets. And surprise, surprise, several others, including Mike Pence, had very similar documents as well. They initially found that by officials clearing out the office of Joe Biden last November. And while the Justice Department, again, according to the White House, was notified immediately, the discovery was not publicly disclosed until last January. Biden reportedly sat for an interview in October with the special counsel's office for about 2 days. Reporting from the Washington Post this week indicated that the president will not face any charges in connection with the probe, but that Hur's report is critical of how Biden and his aides handled the classified records. It's unclear exactly how many documents were discovered between Biden's home and the office, but statements from the White House claim that there were just a small number. The report will no doubt, of course, draw comparisons, though, of the probe into President Donald Trump, whose home, as you know, was searched after he refused to turn documents with, we're told, classified markings that were transported to Mar-a-Lago. In response, there were a subpoena. There was a search. Trump was found to have departed the office with, they claim, over 300 classified documents. He's now facing more than 40 charges in connection with the investigation currently overseen by Special Counsel Jack Smith, including numerous counts for violating the Espionage Act, which prohibits willful retention of such documents. Big contrast in how these two different cases have been handled. The Hill reports Trump had the documents moved within the property to avoid their collection, and a superseding indictment accused him of coordinating with staff to hide the documents both from his own lawyer as well as the Department of Justice. Again, now this is the Hill reporting that. Any lack of charges for Biden could reflect the contrast in the two cases, the Hill says. I would think so. Wouldn't you? Of course, there's going to be some comparison. From the Daily Caller, moving on. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey called on the Biden administration to restrict foreign land ownership near a U.S. Air Force base this week, according to a letter that was shared exclusively with the Daily Caller News Foundation. I'll give you the details of that in just a minute. First, is this a year that you have set aside to get healthy, to lose that excess weight, to get down to a more healthy weight so that you can maybe wear clothes you haven't worn in years, maybe do some things you haven't been able to do in a long, long time, play with the grandkids, the kids, get out and play a full round of golf and not get winded? If that's the case, then let me encourage you to call PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. It worked for me. Over 3 years ago now, I lost 30 pounds pretty quickly, and I've been able to maintain that weight 3.5 years later. You can do it too. And I promise you, when you call 864-252-4925, you'll never regret it. Set up your appointment and see if this program's right for you. If you want to lose weight and you want to get healthy, I promise you, Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team at PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, they have offices in Greenville, Asheville, Charlotte, Lake Norman. They can do this virtually anywhere in the world. They'll be able to help you too. Call today, 864-252-4925, or go online to myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. So Attorney General Andrew Bailey in Missouri sent a letter to the U.S. Treasury Department requesting that it add Whiteman Air Force Base to its list of protected military facilities, which would ban foreign interests, hint, hint, Chinese nationals, for example, from owning land within a 99-mile radius of the base, quote, absent Treasury Department approval. Lawmakers in multiple states, including Missouri, have recently taken legislative and executive action to limit ownership of the U.S. land by Chinese nationals, following reports of land purchased by Chinese government-tied individuals and entities in North Dakota, Michigan, Kansas, Oregon, and other states. Reportedly here in South Carolina, reportedly in Georgia as well, and North Carolina. Bailey's letter says it's imperative that the Treasury Department add Whiteman Air Force Base to the current list of protected facilities. Inclusion in this list would ensure that foreign interests could not own covered real estate or make covered real estate transactions absent Treasury approval within the 99-mile protective boundary of the base. You know, this is talking about protecting and getting permission I would ask the question, should Chinese nationals be allowed to own it, period? I mean, does there have to even be the question? Should they even be allowed to get permission? Are we not selling our country to foreign interest, particularly the Chinese? I'd love your feedback on that. 864-477-5639, the Firmin Ford text line. Do you believe in any circumstance that Chinese nationals should be allowed to buy up large tracts of land here in the U.S.? Whiteman Air Force Base is located about 70 miles from a proposed manufacturing facility outside of Kansas City that's being built by Nanotechnology USA, whose Chinese parent company has extensive Chinese government ties, according to the Daily Caller News Foundation. This was reported back in December after reviewing and expanding a search or research that was conducted by the Heritage Foundation Oversight Project and Heritage Action. A number of these organizations, like the Heritage Foundation, like the Daily Caller News Foundation, they're digging deep and they're finding these Chinese ties and other countries, Russia as well, near our Air Force bases and other federal facilities. Whiteman Air Force Base is the home of the 509th Bomb Wing, its fleet of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, which plays a key role in U.S. Global Strike Command's strategic deterrence efforts, according to the Daily Caller. Attorney General Bailey's letter says these bombers are capable of deploying to forward operating installations across the globe, yet their only permanent base is here in Missouri. Such is the capability of this powerful, heavy stealth bomber that they are routinely flown around the globe, resupplied by air-to-air refueling, and have returned to Whiteman without the need to touch down on foreign soil. Bailey's petition requests that the Treasury Department add Whiteman Air Force Base to a pre-existing list of U.S. Treasury Department military installations by amending the Code of Federal Regulations to either include all Missouri Air Force bases or all Air Force bases home to strategic heavy bombing capabilities. If adopted, Mr. Bailey's petition would expand upon recent legislative action in his state, as well as calls from Republican lawmakers to investigate this company, Nano USA's intended Kansas manufacturing plant for liquid conductive paste. Nano USA's Chinese parent company, Nano Jingtu Technology Limited, employs several dozen Chinese Communist Party members and has also participated in Chinese government initiatives, including one program that the U.S. Director of National Intelligence warned utilizes clandestine methods to acquire foreign technologies. They're spying on our companies, and we're selling them land right here in our country, so they can be close to the groups that they're spying on. Subsequently, Missouri Governor Mike Parson issued an executive order. This was in January, just last month, banning individuals and groups tied to China from purchasing agricultural land within 10 miles of any critical military facility in Missouri. Kansas Republican Representative Jake LaTurner, as well as House and Senate Republicans led by Missouri Representative Mark Alford, have also sent letters to the Treasury Department and to the Department of Defense asking for Nano USA, this Chinese company, to be investigated following the Daily Caller's report. 864-477-5639 is the Firmin Ford text line. Again, I ask you the question, is there any circumstances that these Chinese nationalists and these companies with the Chinese communist ties should be allowed to buy property in our country with or without the federal government's permission? Shouldn't even be a question, should it? Love to get your take on it. Well, it appears that it's official now. Former President Trump has recommended North Carolina GOP Chair Michael Whatley to replace RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel after South Carolina's primary on the 24th. This according to numerous media reports. I've got details I'll share with you in just a minute. First, let me talk with you about Firmin Ford. Every day I invite you to join the conversation on the Firmin Ford text line. I'm so thankful for our relationship with Firmin Ford. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They're great Americans. They are the owners of this local Ford dealership. We need to be doing business with locally run businesses, businesses who are owned by people right here in our community. When you call Firmin Ford, when you email Firmin Ford, when you drop by Firmin Ford, you'll have access to a member of the Firmin family. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line with every single transaction. They'll help you navigate some of the great deals they have on new and used vehicles. If you need service on your vehicle and you don't want to have to wait a week, 2 weeks, a month, Firmin Ford, they'll take good care of you. And by the way, you don't have to have purchased your vehicle at Firmin Ford for them to service it. It doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. And you're going to have the satisfaction of knowing that when you drive off of the lot, that money that you just spent either on service or purchasing a new vehicle stays right in our local community here in the upstate. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford in Lawrence. Find them online at firminford.com, firminford.com. So a source familiar with Fox News Digital is saying that there is definitely going to be, quote, a change in leadership at the Republican National Committee following the February 24th South Carolina primary. I don't know what the big deal is about waiting till after our primary here in South Carolina, but hey, that's above my pay grade. The source reportedly says that Trump is pushing for Whatley to replace McDaniel, specifically because Mr. Whatley was so, quote, powerful on election fraud in 2020. Whatley has served as the North Carolina GOP chair since 2019. He also serves as the general counsel for the Republican National Committee. Again, I ask you, some of my North Carolina listeners, if you know Mr. Whatley, love to hear from you. What you think about him? Will he make a good chair of the RNC? 864-477-5639. Send me a quick note on the Firmin Ford text line. I'd love to know about Mr. Whatley. I've never met him. Don't really know anything about him. You probably recall that President Trump won North Carolina in 2020. Some of the sources that are talking about the choice of Mr. Whatley, they say that he, quote, kept the fraud down in North Carolina despite having a strong Democrat governor. The source also stressed that President Trump is focused on ensuring the votes in the 2024 general election are safe. They said Trump goes around saying we don't need the votes. We have plenty. What we need is protected ballots during the election period. Stressing the importance of protecting the ballot in the 2024 general election. Prior to his work with the Republican Party, Mr. Whatley served as a federal law clerk, a senior official in the President George W. Bush administration, and as chief of staff for former Senator Elizabeth Dole. Whatley also served as a senior advisor to the Bush-Cheney campaign, Florida recount and transition teams, as well as the Trump-Pence campaign and transition teams. Earlier this week, we heard that President Trump had met with Ms. McDaniel at Mar-a-Lago. After the meeting, Trump posted on Truth Social that McDaniel was a friend, but that he would be urging changes at the RNC after South Carolina's primary. He posted, Ronna is now head of the RNC, and I'll be making a decision the day after South Carolina's primary as to my recommendations for RNC growth. In an interview that aired Sunday on Fox, on Sunday Morning Futures to be exact, with Maria Bartiromo. President Trump said of McDaniel, I think she did great when she ran Michigan for me. I think she did okay initially in the RNC. I would say right now there's probably some changes that need to be made. When she won election last year, Ms. McDaniel said in an interview that it would be her last 2-year term as the RNC chair. If McDaniel does resign, her replacement would need approval from the 168 RNC committee members. A RNC committee member who asked to remain anonymous told Fox News if Trump continues to win primaries, most of the 168 will follow his lead, whether he picks Whatley or someone else. Maybe he'll face heavy opposition from outside the committee, but not from within. Two sources told Fox News that no decisions will be formally made at the RNC until after the South Carolina primary. Those sources said McDaniel is also focused on ensuring the upcoming merger between the RNC and the campaign operation of the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, and that goes smoothly. McDaniel addressed the speculation about her potential departure in a letter that she sent to RNC members yesterday afternoon, saying, with the news cycle full of palace intrigue and speculation surrounding all of us, I want to take the time to reassure all of you that I'm still hard at work as RNC chairwoman and building a machine that will elect Republicans up and down the ballot in November. Wonder where that machine was last fall. Wonder where that machine was in 2020. We'll see. Speaking of the GOP primary, is anyone talking about Nikki Haley losing to basically none of the above in Nevada on Tuesday? Even Snopes, the sort of left-leaning fact checker, so to speak, fact-checked the outcome. I don't know why it needed to be fact-checked. Snopes wrote, it's true that voters were given the option to select the option none of those candidates, and 63.2% of voters did. Nikki Haley received only 30.5%, while former U.S. President Donald Trump opted to compete in the February 8 tonight's caucuses instead of the presidential primary. They go on to say, although Trump's campaign encouraged voters to only focus on the caucuses, many showed their support by voting for none of these candidates in order to express displeasure with the remaining choice. John Ralston, the editor of the Nevada Independent and longtime political commentator, tweeted on the evening of February the 6th, as the results were coming in, quote, one of the most embarrassing things I've seen in all my years of covering politics. Quote, major presidential candidate loses to none of these candidates. Might as well drop out, seriously. Of course, he's talking about Nikki Haley. Now, Haley's team seemed to expect the loss, really didn't make a big deal out of it, didn't want to really talk about it, claiming that, Olivia Perez Cubas, a spokesperson for Haley, responded to the results in a statement saying, even Donald Trump knows that when you play penny slots, the House wins. We didn't bother to play a game rigged for Trump, using that word, that buzzword, rigged. We're full steam ahead in South Carolina and beyond, the statement said, although they're focused on South Carolina, where, of course, Haley served as our governor. President Trump continues to lead the state by a very wide margin compared to Haley. In the most recent Monmouth University Washington Post poll, which was published February the 1st, just 7 days ago, Trump was leading 58% to Haley's 32%. Again, Haley's downplaying this week's primary and caucus in Nevada. The caucus is tonight, by the way. Trump is expected to again win. But Haley said that there wasn't anything that we were looking at, saying that the caucus tonight is rigged in Trump's favor. Haley commented herself yesterday, a day after she had lost this more than 2-1 margin to none of the above, or none of these candidates, to be exact. She had this to say about the results.
to hurt a little bit?
No, I mean, Nevada, it's such a scam. They were supposed to have a primary. Trump rigged it so that the GOP chairman, who's been indicted, would go and create a caucus. We knew months ago that we weren't going to spend a day or a dollar in Nevada because it wasn't worth it. And so we didn't even count Nevada. That wasn't anything we were looking at. We knew that was rigged from the start. Sure. Our focus is on South Carolina, Michigan, Super Tuesday. So if you look what we did in Iowa and you look what we did in New Hampshire, we're continuing to grow. That's what matters, I think, more than anything else. But look at what happened this week. Here you have Republicans lost a major vote on the border. Republicans lost a major vote on Israel. Donald Trump was found that he will not have immunity in all of these court cases coming up. The RNC chair is fired. All of this chaos is happening around us, and Donald Trump's fingerprints are on every bit of it. We can't continue as the Republican Party to go forward with this chaos. You don't defeat Democrat chaos with Republican chaos, and that's why we've got to see a change.
Nikki Haley saying that Nevada is rigged. Trump campaign senior advisor Chris LaCivita said, quote, more embarrassment coming in South Carolina. Nikki Haley's delusional tour continues, he claimed, again on Truth Social. Now, as I explained to you yesterday, I think it was, Trump's name wasn't even on the primary ballot on Tuesday because his name will be listed tonight in the official GOP event in the caucuses where the Republican delegates will actually be won tonight. Tuesday didn't mean anything. So maybe it was good strategy that Haley did not spend her resources. But it is a little embarrassing if your name was on the ballot that you would lose to none of these candidates. As Haley said, she's looking ahead to South Carolina, then Michigan, then Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday is 15 states and includes some of the biggies like California and Texas. According to Haley, her two campaign stops yesterday, one in California, where where her first to date in any of the Super Tuesday states where she had a campaign event. She says that she raised $1.7 million during the event in California, getting some of that liberal money. 864-477 Joey, 864-477-5639 is the Firmin Ford text line. Tony writes on the Firmin Ford text line, Joey, immigration wasn't broken under Trump, and most Republicans know that. The border isn't going to be closed because demon rats need the votes. Christy writes, before the election, I would guess Biden will close the border to make people think he's trying, but it will be a ploy to fool the voters, and sadly, so many will praise his action. You know, you may be right, but I've got a feeling that Joe Biden is just so dead set on allowing an open border. He won't even close it down just to pretend that he's going to close it before the election. She goes on to write, he's led his voters' army of fighting age men into this country. Things are going to get rough in the USA, and people need to be ready to see a battle on our own soil from within our own borders, and I think it will be before or at least by fall. They can't let a fair election happen. They know the results. I hope you're wrong on that last part, Christy. Ace says, Joey, good morning. First off, thanks to Nana Hudson for keeping us in check. In parentheses, my stupid comment. My apologies. I think Ace is talking about he used some words, I guess, that Nana Hudson wouldn't approve of. Let's just leave it at that. Thank you, Ace. I'll let Nana know that you apologized. I don't think she was looking for an apology, but I'll let her know. He says, on the topic of the border, it seems to me that the Biden administration is a transparent Trojan horse. It may sound like I'm being conspiratorial, but I really believe that the leftist criminals are building an army of destruction. I asked a Mexican, whom I'm pretty sure is an illegal immigrant, quote, if America were to go into war, would you help protect America? His answer was no. I believe this would be the answer for most illegal immigrants. Jeff says, I was happy to hear from the great person that sends the encouragement text this morning. I was too. We missed one day there, our encouragement text of the day. He says, all that money to Ukraine, I'll bet Biden gets a big cut sent back to him and his crackhead. That's his son, of course, Hunter Biden. Bob from Little Rock, good to hear from you, Bob, says, good morning, Joey. All of us love your podcast. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. I hope you're spreading the word about Just the Truth in Little Rock. I want to see a lot of people listening in Little Rock, Bob. How many people can you forward it to? Just send the link. Just forward the link. Ask them to subscribe to Just the Truth. He says, when we think of the upcoming South Carolina primary, I wonder if Americans understand the facts. South Carolina is a beautiful representation of America. It includes gorgeous lands, incredible people, and a wonderful spirit of God. How can we not vote for someone who wants to continue these facts? So remember, South Carolina, you are blessed by God today, tomorrow, and forever. Thank you, Bob from Little Rock. I appreciate those kind comments about my home state of South Carolina. Texter writes, none of the above beat Nikki Haley by 32.7% in the Nevada Republican primary. Yeah, it is a little surprising, but yes, you're right. Again, Snopes even fact-checked it. Bobby says, morning, Joey. How much longer before Nikki gets the message she lost to nobody? Have a great day, and we love your podcast. Bobby. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate that. Jennifer, woohoo, Joey. In a world where it's so hard to find encouragement, let's take some time out and experience the, quote, feel good of the Senate defeat of the border bill. Who cares about the Mayorkas impeachment failure? Slime balls like that slide off into their own darkness sooner or later anyway. Thank you, Jennifer. And it does feel good that the Senate beat back Joe Biden's attempt at a border bill that most of the money went to Ukraine anyway. So our text of encouragement. Yes, we do have a text of encouragement today. 1 Corinthians 16:13. Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong. Good words of encouragement. Yours are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-5639. Business Insider writes, Nancy Mace's office is in chaos, 100% staff turnover in just 3 months. Before I get into that, portions of today's show brought to you by my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They're going to be coming out to my house tomorrow. Got a couple of lights out. I opened the refrigerator the other day. The side lights are working, but a couple of the overhead lights are not working. And boy, your refrigerator can really be dark. So I text Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Guess what? Just like that, somebody's coming out tomorrow to check it out. That's why I always tell you that you're more than a credit card swipe to Jeff and Johnny and the whole team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They do treat you like family. And that award-winning service department, they're going to be at my house tomorrow. They have over 11,000 square feet with about 1,500 appliances at any given time. So there's not going to be any delay in getting your appliance out to you. It's real simple. You walk in, they have the knowledge to help you choose the right one for you. And sometimes, and I love the story, I had a caller back, a year or so ago, I guess it was, who called in, said, couldn't believe it. We did the short drive from Anderson to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse, got a good deal on appliances. They called us as we were headed home. They almost beat us back to the house with the delivery, and that's what you'll get with Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Find them online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. So evidently, and I didn't realize this was a thing until Business Insider had this story, but staff turnover and Republican Representative Nancy Mace, she's from the 1st Congressional District of South Carolina, is about as high as possible as she deals with a primary challenge from her former chief of staff. I didn't know that either. On Monday, again, this is the Business Insider reporting, but they claimed that on Monday, the Daily Beast reported that her entire Capitol Hill staff has turned over since November the 1st. Of the 9 staffers, 8 have quit. The only person fired was her former chief of staff, Dan Hanlon, whom she let go on December the 1st of last year, and who reportedly left with the office popcorn machine. He took his popcorn and went home, I guess. Hanlon, though, is now, according to the report, running against her. According to the Washington Post, Hanlon was spurred into running by former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, after she voted to boot him from the GOP leadership. Mace's office has gained what is being called a toxic reputation in recent months after her former staffers told several publications that they were given unrealistic expectations, worked exhausting work hours, and felt that they were abused under her leadership. In November of last year, a separate report from the Daily Beast noted that several of her former staffers questioned how highly the members seemed to value television appearances and time spent in the spotlight rather than legislating and representing the people of the 1st Congressional District. Mace's conduct in office has done more than rankle her former staff. It's also given her opponents plenty of fodder in their campaign to unseat her, according to the Daily Beast. Democrat Michael Moore, her possible opponent in November, said, "She says one thing, she votes another. People are getting tired of that kind of thing," he said. A representative from Mace's staff did not respond to Business Insider's request for comment. If you're from the 1st Congressional District or you have information about this, love to hear from you on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-5639. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Please join my mailing list. Just go to joeyhudson.com. You can peruse the site while you're there. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. And just as I encouraged Bob from Little Rock a little while ago, please forward this podcast to some of your friends. Just click on the share button, type in a few emails or text it to a few people, because that's how we're going to grow our community here. So I'm asking you to forward it, share it with some of your friends who you think are like-minded individuals, who you think will enjoy it and will join our community, who will respond. Also, find me on YouTube. Just search for Joey Hudson. Send me a quick text, and I'll send you the link if you have trouble finding it. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Keep those texts coming via the Firmin Ford text line. Keep your emails coming as well. Joey at joeyhudson.com. We're back again tomorrow. Until then, remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control.